Hey everyone, in today's episode, we are talking about the importance of offering a holistic and synergistic solution across your digital marketing product suite and the impact that it can have on your business.
Today we're talking agency pain point number 3, offering a complete digital solution. We are so very pleased and happy and humbled to have someone with over 30 years of radio, cable, broadcasting, marketing, and sales experience with us today, our CEO, Tim Burke.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the intro. It was very nice. When you say humbled, that usually means somebody's old.
No.
It's great to join you guys today. I mean, you guys usually get all the fun in this, right? You guys do all the content here, and people come in and say, "How does this look?" And I'm like, "Well, these guys look great. Don't add me." So, thank you very much for inviting me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was a long trip. I think when we're talking about a full solution, I think it starts just like a lot of things do with marketing. When you work marketing backwards, you mentioned 30. Maybe a little bit longer in traditional media, in broadcast cable, in radio, and it's all about marketing. And so regardless of what the channel is, if you're a marketer, you will find ways to make sure that channel executes, that delivery vehicle executes for your clients. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I was doing some television sales consulting, and we started having conversations in the marketplace with clients about their marketing, and obviously television is the kind of the king of the hill in the local marketplace. And people started asking about their website, their SEO, their social, their search, and we had conversations with the TV group, and we literally started this agency as a way for the TV group to keep their clients all in one place, to offer a full funnel solution. When we first got started, we didn't have a full suite, and we certainly didn't manage it all here. So it's been an interesting evolution on how we've done that.
All right, we're in our 7th year of this place now, so having 30 plus years in traditional, now 7 in digital, what do you see as the two biggest differences between the two?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like that you not point out that it's 30 years anymore, because that really dates people and makes them feel old. But the traditional media, as I mentioned, and this new space and this new place that we're in, is really all about still marketing. And I think it's fascinating how this has evolved, particularly over the last 7 years. We've got a team now of well over 50 people that are keeping up with the Googles and the Facebooks and the DSPs and all the exciting things that are happening in this space. When we first started, it wasn't a full service agency. We aggregated a lot of what we considered experts in the field and tried to pull that together. And then quickly what we realized was that you can have an expert in a product, right? But that doesn't mean, so you can have an expert product solution. That doesn't mean you're going to have a well-balanced, productive campaign. It's how those products work together, and that's the thing that I've seen going from television to cable and having been in radio, whether it's audio or video, it's that single stream. In this, all these different components come together, and that to me is what's fascinating. It's also the hardest thing to stay on top of. So we've gone from spray and pray years ago to attribution models today that let you know where every single lead is emanating from. That's interesting, and you guys are at the point of that.
And I think it's really interesting to see that when you're offering a complete suite that's and all the products are talking to each other, now you're able to see the breakdown, and we talked about this even this morning, about the different tactics within the overall product that deliver the overall solution. So it's not just, hey, this is a top of the funnel product. It's that top of the funnel product is working all the different tactics to get to that attribution modeling that we talked about. And then building on from there, having each complete solution talking to each other holistically is really, really important. It's not just offering and having an offering that is each of these products, it's having that complete really offering, which is really important.
Yeah, I think our aha moment for that at this agency was when we started to begin working with larger accounts. Yeah. So what we called key accounts back in the day, when we would get every product in, and these accounts, you're typically not a key account that's running one product. So when we had our paid search team in, our paid social team in, our programmatic team in, and we were working together to come up with a cohesive message, we also had to come up with a cohesive message on our end, so how we report back to the client.
Right.
As we tried to do that, that became hard to do with aggregate vendors. That became hard to do by not offering that a solution. So I know that programmatic wasn't something that we had offered right off the bat, and just by offering paid search and paid social, we were missing that extra opportunity. And if we're trying to work holistically, it's hard to work holistically with half a suite. So I know that as we dove into that really...
That was this morning's conversation.
It was. And Tim, I know you can elaborate on this significantly, is talking about how you're putting, the account at risk.
Yeah.
If you don't have the complete suite to offer, and now someone else is doing the bottom of the funnel last click attribution that's in place, right? Can we talk about that risk a little bit?
Yeah, I think, and when we first started, I think we said, boy, we're the complete suite, right? And I think we've evolved to so much more than that. So I think it's more than just offering the products. And believe me, we've got teams, as you well know, right? We've got teams of specialists in all these different areas, people that are just immersed in these places all day long. And that's the science of it. The art of it is tying all the communication in the ROI. So we can talk about PPC, and we talk about this all the time, but we can talk about PPC and SEO, but ultimately it's ROI, and I think it always will be. Yeah. And so if we work backwards from ROI, it's those conversations, with your key account team and your ad ops team working together to make sure that we're moving toward the client's goal and exceeding that. Because ultimately that's going to come down to, am I going to continue to do this? Am I seeing the return, on my investment? At whatever level that is. So to me, it's offering the products, but it's so much more than that. I think it is communication. I think it's expectations. And I think it's really the optimization of the campaign, not just the products.
I think that ties so well into what we were talking about last week. No one is going from a $3,000 account to a $90,000 account because of a click-through rate. It does come down to ROI, and the best way to offer ROI is by offering that complete solution, having it work together, looking at conversion funnels, looking at conversion paths, seeing the best way it's working, optimizing towards that, removing what's not working. One of the questions I'd be asking is it possible to offer a full suite as just a digital marketing agency, or do you have to work with traditional, or are you losing that aspect of the relationship just on the digital side?
I think it's fascinating right now, because if you looked, and I know we've had these conversations at length, if you look at OTT, for instance, that's that video top of the funnel for the most part, and is that television today? When you look at Spotify and advertising in Spotify, is that radio today? Mm-hmm. And so I think that what digital has done is not replace traditional media, but augmented it. And there's such benefit in destination viewership and destination listenership. So there's no more spray and pray today. It's not about hoping or guessing. It's not about the hopeful GRP. It's about delivering that particular listener or viewer, and that's where I think it makes so much more sense. And not just the listener or viewer, but the targeted listener or viewer. Mm-hmm. And that to me is what's fascinating. Finding that target and making sure we're talking to them all through the funnel, and with different messaging at the top than in the bottom, than on the. So it's a fascinating space to be in. I love it every day. I love it.
I think augmenting is the perfect way to put it. I think that as marketing evolves, there's going to be less and less of a difference between traditional marketing and digital marketing. Yeah. I think that everything's going to become digital marketing. I think it probably started with the yellow pages and searching through that. Google took that over. Yep. Search engines took that over. Yep. Billboards are being replaced by programmatic. Radio's being replaced might be a strong word, but they're being augmented by programmatic. Radio augmented by Spotify, and so on and so forth. And I think that the kind of last bastion is OTT, really offering that one-to-one ad experience for a user on the large screen. Right. I think as digital becomes the new norm, bridging the gap between the two just becomes so important.
And as an extension of that, though, I don't know if it's going to be bridging the traditional and the digital gap, because what I think is traditional media is evolving as well. So television is different today than it was 10 years ago, as is radio, as is cable television. So they've continued to evolve as well. Digital's not growing in a bucket or in a vacuum. So ultimately, I agree with you 100%, Rob. I think that the way these medias work together, and we talk about there's value. We just had the Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl is such a great way to reach critical mass eyeballs. And so wherever those exist, or ears or eyes, I think there's a place still for that. So we're in the digital agency space, but I don't think there's a feeling here that, we've replaced the traditional media.
And I think augmented is a great word. Innovation is a great word, because what has transpired over with a TV commercial, right? Now, they're launching them sooner. They're putting them on YouTube. Now they're tracking it before the Super Bowl even happens, right? All of those different components are part of that complete solution that you have to be able to innovate and create and have the creative mindset to tell a story with data along the way leading up to the moment as well as after the moment. So guys, what is being the point on some of these accounts and knowing when there's another agency, another vendor, a part of our holistic solution. I don't like it. It's putting the account at risk, and making sure that we're offering that complete solution is so important, and making sure other agencies are offering that complete solution is super, super important. Can you talk a little bit about that from your experience, right, all the way in the holistic account, eliminating that risk?
Yeah. Well, I think that client churn is the risk that we all want to avoid, without a doubt, right? So, and I think there's so much that goes in to really working with a client to gain their trust and confidence. And you guys talked about that in last week's conversation. When you look at the individual products and having to possibly outsource something to a different vendor, it was my kind of thinking years ago when we started this, that the TV station was putting itself at risk and losing their bottom of the funnel leads. And you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to fill the funnel and then lose right at the bottom. And I think agencies have that should have that same concern today. So if you've got experts, right, that are feeding you products, first of all, it's the communication and the synergy of those things. But secondly of all, if you don't have a product that your client is looking for, ultimately they're going to look in another place for that, and that puts you at risk.
I think that ties in with what Mike was talking about last week, which was the innovation, because you know what works, but your client reads the headlines. So if they're seeing what we call shiny new object, and you don't want to offer that because it's not something that you're comfortable offering yet, someone else is.
Yes.
So you have to be open to experimenting with these things. So if you're not comfortable with OTT yet, it should still be something you offer, and you should be working with someone that is comfortable offering that, because your clients are reading about it and they're going to look for that. And if they go to someone who has OTT, there's a risk that they like that reporting, they like that experience. Maybe they see their ad when they're watching Hulu or Pluto, and that client is gone. And that I think is just such the risk, and why it's a constant evolution of your agency has to continue to happen.
Just taking a peek in analytics to see the holistic view of the account is going to tell you a whole bunch.
It does.
And you want to own the scoreboard in that analytics account, and you don't want anyone else is creeping in there.
And owning the scoreboard is exactly what we try to do here. And you mentioned OTT, Rob, and the shiny new object is something that everybody wants to chase. So one of the things that I think we've done pretty successfully here is we've got our labs, right, that are looking at new products and kind of analyzing the next direction. So to be able to say to a client, yes, we offer that, but no, that's not for you at this time, is based on our experience with it, not just based on conjecture or because we don't offer it. So I think it gives us kind of the freedom to be able to, everybody talks about it, right, but product agnostic. When you have everything, you can afford to be product agnostic and chase results. If you've got 2 or 3 products that you offer as an agency, people are buying products. And I think that's really where any media becomes challenged. But within that, the certification that our teams go through, and I'm constantly amazed at the learning levels that each of our teams have achieved. So within product agnostic doesn't mean generalists. It means, boy, those teams are so specific to their area and they understand it at a level that just frankly I'm envious of.
So you have to have experts and you have to have marketers, I think,
Yeah.
to truly be product agnostic. Because you have to know your product cold, but you also have to know the environment it lives in. So reporting tends to be siloed. The margin card is siloed, but the user experience is not. So people are touching your ad in a variety of different ways, and our team and your team has to understand how that works together. So what I love is having true experts kind of in their field come together in the room, because that's where the campaign, that's where your overall results become better than the sum of their parts. So if you're dealing with a large campaign that's targeting a niche audience, making sure that your keywords are in alignment on the programmatic side as they are on the paid search side, and making sure that your audiences are in alignment on the social side as they are in programmatic, and making sure that you're remarketing the landing page that PPC drove to with social ads. It kind of all comes into play, and being truly product agnostic means you have a team that is willing to give the assist. Because when you're talking scorecard, and if you're dealing with 3 different vendors, it is a race to the bottom. They want to be the one that showed the result. So you're going to get 3 different reports that say, I had 150 conversions here, I had 170, well, I had 200. And overall, you got 200 conversions, so you got 3 different people adding up to 700. How is that even possible? Being with a team that's okay giving the assist to the bottom of the funnel product and understands their role in the process, I think is just so important. That's where I think we've excelled for some large accounts and have been able to grow them.
Absolutely. That's what we talked about on our last series, or last episode, right? It was just talking about the land and expand motto. I think that is super, super important when you're talking about the holistic view of the account, right? And yeah, if there is other competitors in there, it's a race to the bottom. But having a point person and a point team that handles the communication and is pulling the levers when needed, right? For a recruiting campaign specifically, it's, we're full in this area, or in this location, we got to bump up the branding in this location, right? Because we know in 2 months that's going to be feeding a lot more searches, right? And having that point and being able to pull those levers at the right times and seeing the holistic view and having the team of experts that you can rely on that know a little bit of each but are specialized in their own is super, super cool to have. And that's really what I think what makes us different than a lot of other agencies out there trying to do these things, is because you have experts that are certified, highly trained, and know that being John Stockton isn't a bad thing.
Exactly.
Trying to keep up with Google and Facebook isn't an easy thing either. I mean, as we continue to grow here, and I see more and more new faces, every single week, it's just a task to stay on top of all this. But it's fascinating, and you guys make it fun. So thanks for the conversation today. I appreciate the invite.
Hey, let us know when you want to come back.
I'll do that.